Selena was at the top of her game when she was killed, but not a lot of people know about her backstory because she was destined to be this star. Selena was the youngest out of her 2 siblings, and her career began at age 6 when her father, Abraham, saw the potential in her to be a singer after hearing her sing. Selena actually comes from a bloodline of musicians. Her dad was a singer and songwriter, while her mom was a stay-at-home mom. Her father ended up giving up his music career to start a family. Even though Selena grew up only speaking English, her father taught her how to sing in Spanish. And of course, her father teaching her all this led her to becoming fluent in Spanish. But I think it's interesting that she wasn't initially fluent in it, and she ended up becoming the biggest pop star in Spanish music. At 10 years old, Selena sang in her family's band managed by her father alongside her brother and sister. And these 3 were actually pretty good. They started performing at a restaurant, they started booking weddings and clubs, and they built some momentum. Here's an old clip of Selena when she's just a kid talking about her music career.
What grade are you in, Selena?
5th.
Okay, tell me also how old you are and why you like to play in the band.
I'm 10, and the reason I like to play in the band, good money.
Oh, really? You make pretty good money in it, huh?
Yes.
Very good. Are you gonna sing for us now, a little bit?
Yes.
Very good.
Now, the restaurant her father owned is where Selena and her siblings performed, and they started to generate some fans. But eventually the restaurant failed, and her father decided to move back to his hometown in Texas. Their band finally began to tour, and at this point, Selena was only 11 years old. Selena would try to balance school with her music, but in the end, she would spend most of her time on music and eventually left school during her 8th grade year, which is too young. You need those extra years of education, trust me. But Selena was a smart girl, so she got her GED, she focused on her career, she was making good money in music. By 1984, Selena started recording music, and while it did not perform that well, it was her first time getting into the studio and really starting to create music for her own. I think at this point in Selena's life, she started feeling a little defeated because she came up with 2 songs, they weren't selling well. The band was living in a van, but they continued to tour the southwest part of the US. And honestly, them going on tour was the best thing for her because getting her name out there really built some popularity around her band, but also just her as a person. She's this young girl with an incredible voice. And actually, like 4 years after she first hit the studio, she was already getting recognized and getting awards, and people started to love her.
The people of Texas have voted Selena Quintanilla.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all you people in Texas that have supported us, Selena y los Dinos. También I'd like to thank our producer, Manny Guerra from GP Productions, who's helped us out a whole lot. And most of all, I'd like to say thank you to Grupo Los Dinos, because without them, I don't think I'd be anybody. And when I win, they win. And when they lose, I don't know them.
Selena's success was all the more impressive given the singer's initial lack of proficiency in Spanish. According to Chris Brez, the band's guitarist, who Selena later married, she was the first in the band to become fluent in the language. And even though Selena wasn't necessarily speaking Spanish right away, she definitely advocated for her people and her roots. Her ex-husband said, as a third-generation Texan who had to learn Spanish phonetically, with her father coaching her on her accent, she knew that there was a chance that the Mexican fans might dismiss her. But no, instead, they adored everything about her, from her dark hair to her brown eyes and her curvy figure. By 1989, Selena joined a record company called EMI Records. With a big company behind her and Jose Barr, the company's new Latin music division, she could appeal to a diverse audience. In 1991, she made a song with Alvaro Torres called Buenos Amigos, which became a hit, getting a #1 on the Billboard's Latin chart. She came out with another hit titled Donde Quiero Que Estés. Oh my gosh, look at me in my Spanish. And that just continued her stardom. You kind of, like, you see those people like Ice Spice, like she releases a song and then another one and another one. It was kind of like the Selena effect. Like she put out a new song and it was instantly a hit. Which I don't know why, but talking about this reminds me of when I was like in 5th grade and Hips Don't Lie by Shakira came out. And to be honest, like I didn't really grow up like with the most diversity. You know, my parents weren't playing me Spanish music, but she introduced me to that and then I became in love with it. And I kind of wonder if like people had that same, I mean, I know that people had that same moment with Selena where they heard this and they're like, wow, this is great. So Selena was doing amazing. She was resonating with fans and she was likable. Here's an old clip of her ex-husband talking about her.
No, she was very romantic and she craved that too from me. You know what I mean? It was, she wanted to know all the time, wanted to feel all the time that it was special, and I did it as much as I could, and I made her feel that way, you know. But she did it all the time to me, all the time. I mean, there wasn't, you know, I was always happy.
So she was thriving and people were eating up her music. Selena was almost always compared to American female artists like Madonna and Janet Jackson. She actually wanted to explore more with English music and moved to companies to begin that path. So really, she wanted to become an international superstar. So Selena has this big plan to work with new people to make new music and to connect with her fans even further. But we're in 1994 right now, and she died in 1995. So we are headed towards the dark part of this. In the months before her death, Selena was at the height of her career, laying down the groundwork for her long-awaited crossover into the mainstream English market. With 4 studio albums and a Grammy for Best Mexican American Album under her belt, she was in the process of recording her first English-language album, titled Dreaming of You, which would go on after her death to set records. She was also building up her name as a brand woman, like giving very much Kim Kardashian vibes. She had a chain of Texas-based boutiques with in-house salons where her signature line of clothing and jewelry were sold. Wow. Actually, the 2 locations in Corpus Christi and San Antonio were managed by 32-year-old Yolanda, the president of the Selena fan club and a trusted friend of Selena's. Now, if you know anything about this story, you know who Yolanda is, and Yolanda is our criminal here. She's our criminal. She's our murderer. She's our killer. She killed Selena, and she had a manipulative relationship with her that we need to unpack. I mean, how do you go from being a trusted friend who runs these stores, runs this fan club, to then murdering this person? I can't even imagine. Yolanda first became acquainted with Selena as the president of her fan club. When she wasn't busy with fan club matters, she also worked as a nurse at the beginning, but she ultimately left her job to officially manage the club full time. Here's an old clip of Selena and Yolanda together.
Thank everybody for coming out today and showing their support for the Selena boutique, and I hope that you all become potential customers.
Now, we don't hear a lot from this clip, so I'm not going to bore you with the audio, but looking at the visual, if you're here on YouTube, you can see that there's some awkward interaction between the two, and Yolanda just seems kind of like disturbed or bothered, and I mean, honestly, I don't know what her problem is. I mean, I do, but we'll get there. These two were very close, hence why she was by Selena's side. Selena and her family even trusted her to promote her to be the manager of the singer's boutique, so that's why she ran the stores. Actually, Yolanda even claimed that Selena, who was 11 years her junior, called her mom. Can you imagine having a mother-daughter like friendship relationship with someone, and then that mother figure kills you? It makes me feel so bad for Selena, but there was a dark underbelly to their seemingly tight relationship. Those who knew Yolanda say her interest in Selena was borderline obsessive. One woman who shared an apartment with her claimed that Yolanda had a shrine of sorts dedicated to her. Yolanda's coworkers also alleged that Selena's #1 fan showed signs of disturbing behavior over the course of their relationship. This sounds like... I would be so scared. Quote, she was very vindictive. She was very possessive of Selena, said Martin Gomez, a fashion designer for Selena's boutiques. He actually shared an office with Yolanda, and he said she would get like very angry if you crossed her. She would play so many mind games, say people had said things that they hadn't said. He even claimed that he found finished pieces of clothing he had worked on for the boutiques with hems mysteriously ripped out. So Yolanda trying to mess up his work. Ultimately, Yolanda's unhinged behavior led to his resignation from the company. So Martin actually resigning from his role kind of led to this little rift between Selena and Yolanda. I mean, Martin wanted to get out of there. He had nothing to do with Yolanda's antics. And actually, other former employees have spoken out since then about how Yolanda was a terrible boss.
Was her best friend. She made it clear to us that was her best friend. That was her eyes. That was her ears. When she couldn't be there, we were to contact Yolanda.
And Saldivar says Martinez completely idolized Selena.
She was a fanatic. She has a, collection like you wouldn't believe, of Selena. She collected everything of Selena.
But in just the last few weeks, that relationship evidently began falling apart. All the women working under Saldivar and her manager at the boutique complained about a lack of supplies, suggesting to Selena the money was going elsewhere.
What she was hearing from all the girls, it was all the same story, everything. And Yolanda still, at that point, said, no, it's not like that, Selena. And Selena said, what do you mean it's like that? And she said a Spanish word, escúchame.
Which means, listen to me.
So ultimately, it was Yolanda's appointment as manager that led everything to unravel. This guy named Joe wrote a book about Selena, and he wrote that Yolanda got an American Express by Selena, and she used it to rent some cars, entertain business associates at upscale restaurants, and she purchased 2 cell phones for personal use. Which, why would Yolanda need 2 cell phones for personal use? I mean, does that mean she also has like a business phone as well? Staff members at boutiques felt that Yolanda was nice when Selena dropped in, but was cruel when she was away. Our guy Martin Gomez, that designer who resigned, said, I told Selena I was scared of Yolanda. She wouldn't let me talk to Selena anymore. She was very possessive. Even though Selena was hearing this about Yolanda, she didn't really want to deal with it. I mean, I don't know. She was probably handling so much at the time. And also Yolanda was so kind and caring to her. She didn't understand why Yolanda was so mean to everyone else, but Yolanda didn't want anyone to have any relationship with Selena but herself. Martin told Selena she is two-faced, she is unstable, but Selena didn't do anything at this point.
At one point, she was really in with the family. She started calling Selena, you know, a little here, a little there, and I can do this for you, I can do that for you, and, you know, just being a friend. I would tell Selena about Yolanda, little things that I would know, and she'd be like, you know, no, Suzette, you know, blowing it off. And I told her, just be careful. Just be careful, because I don't trust her. You know, my parents would protect us, you know. We had always had somebody to protect us. You know, and here's Selena, you know, not knowing and trusting. Selena was very trusting. I think that's what hurts the most, is that she was so giving and so caring, and that somebody could take, you know, Yolanda took advantage of that. You know, there's a lot of people out there that took advantage of her, and Yolanda being one of them, and, you know, it just hurts.